Utah Mammoth fans, Tusks up, and welcome into another Utah Mammoth Daily. So, looking at the waiver wire slash available NHL free agents, who's out there? Who's still available that could help the Utah Mammoth get over the hump and get into the Stanley Cup playoffs? Well, right now, the big name is Mason McTavish, but we'll get into that one another time. That's a whole different scenario going on there in Anaheim. But I'm looking at the available free agents out there right now, and ones that really spark my interest are guys like Nicholas Backstrom. He was a big part of the Washington Capitals for a while. He's a very strong center, and if there's one position where the Mammoth are a little bit, I don't want to say thin, but lacking, it's definitely at the center position. After Logan Cooley, there's a big enough drop off that a strong veteran center could come in and make a big difference, and Nicholas Backstrom could be that guy. Even if he is a third or fourth liner, definitely be someone worth looking at. He made $9 million last year. I don't think he's going to be demanding that much now if he wants to continue to play. He is almost 38 years old, so we'll see if he either decides to retire or continue to play. Another one that's really interesting to me is TJ Oshie. He's another one that comes from Washington and the Capitals. I've always liked Oshie's game. He plays on the right wing. Obviously, wing is somewhere that Utah is really strong, especially with the youth development coming up through the pipeline. But, Backstrom and Oshie are two names that I look at least when it comes to like forwards. And then Alec Martinez on the defense with the defenseman. Now, Utah is not lacking in veteran defensemen at all, especially with the signing of Nate Schmidt. And then on the forward line, the signing of Brandon Tanev as well. But should things get thin, should players get injured, Alec Martinez could be a very interesting addition for the team because he does play really well. I mean, he played well for Chicago in a season that, Chicago would like to forget. So I look at those names on the waiver wire / free agency list, and those are the ones that spring to my mind. But if there's one that I'm missing, definitely let me know. And like I said, Mason McTavish, that'll be another topic for another day, I think. But as we look forward here, more vets. Does Utah really need another veteran? I kind of gave away this topic in that first one, but what I want to say here is yes, you can. There's always room for another veteran, especially when you have so much youth like Utah does. There's always room for another veteran, so long as it doesn't take away minutes from someone that you think is ready to burst onto the scene. So, that being said, when you look at that free agent list, I think those are some solid guys. Alexander Georgiev as well. If there is a rash of injuries at the goalie position, some guys will be out for an extended period of time. I know he's not the most stable of goalies, but he was solid for Colorado for at least a little bit. And if he is in there for spot duty and not to be the regular starting goalkeeper, I think he could be a really strong veteran presence as well. Not that Utah needs it in goal, but that's just another name to look at because he's got a lot of mileage. He knows the game, and somebody that could be a potential good add. But Alec Martinez, Nicholas Backstrom, TJ Oshie, those are the ones I'm looking at as we get closer and closer to training camp as well as the start of the regular season. Injuries happen, and injuries tend to happen to the veterans more so than the young guys. So we'll see what happens there. But those are the names I'm looking for. But overall, I don't think they need one right now. If everybody is 100% healthy as we break camp and get into the regular season, everybody can get through to the Olympic break in February relatively healthy, then no. There's no reason for another vet to come onto the roster to take minutes away from the young guys that are chomping at the bit to get up into the big leagues. So, that being said, when those young guys get to the top club, when they get there, who will be waived? Is there anybody that would be worth waiving instead of looking for a potential trade partner? Well, there's a couple of names, and a couple of them might not be very popular for me to bring up, but they do make sense because they're in the last years of their deal, and there is enough behind them in the pipeline that waiving them might just be the better option if they're struggling during the season. So a guy like Kevin Stenlund could be waived. It's not that big of a salary cap hit if he were to be waived. It's $2 million. This is his deal. He's in the last year of his deal. And then Alexander Kerfoot as well. I love Alexander Kerfoot's game. He's a big guy. He sticks up for his teammates. He's a great teammate. He's a great locker room presence. But again, last year of his deal might be a little bit tougher pill to swallow if they waive him because that's $3 million. But those are a couple of guys that play positions that have young guys ready to come up, especially if Cole Bedoin makes that big step. Caleb Desnoyers comes back from his surgery and he's looking unstoppable. Then, a Kevin Stenlund is in the way of that. And Alexander Kerfoot is in the way of that. And so a wave of those guys might be best because I don't see a big trade market for them. So those are the names I'm looking at that might be waived. On the D line, it's Ian Cole and Yusuf Valimaki. I know yesterday I talked up Yusuf Valimaki as being a sneaky good player. Ian Cole makes $2.8 million. Yusuf Valimaki makes $2 million. That's in the area that GMs can figure, yeah, we could take this hit and then move forward. But those are two guys that could be waived to make way for Dmitry Simashev. I almost said Sergachev again. Dmitry Simashev. So those are some waiver targets, I think, that are out there for Utah just to make clear space for the young guys to come through. I know a couple of those are fan favorites, or a couple of my favorites as well. I really love those guys. But, I mean, it's a business. You have to make the hard decisions, and that's why GM Bill Armstrong makes the big bucks, right? He needs to make those tough decisions and be able to get Utah to the ultimate goal, which is the playoffs. And so for those playoffs, there is an over-under betting line out there if you are of the betting persuasion. I know it's illegal here in Utah. That's not for me to discuss. That's not the show. But anyway, 93.5 points. Over, under. What are you betting on? The Utah Mammoth almost got to 90 points last year. They have only been getting more and more improved under GM Bill Armstrong and head coach Andre Tourigny. So I would smash the over on this one. I think that Utah could get up to 96, even 98 points and make the playoffs this year. And that's not even if everything breaks right. If everything breaks right, I think this is a 100-point team. I know that's kind of crazy to say. I might be drinking the Kool-Aid too much there, but that's what I'm thinking. So I would smash the over on that one, and that's just FanDuel. If you want to go to DraftKings, they have the over-under for the Mammoth at 92.5 points. I would smash the over on that as well. So that's something to look at. And personally, I like to look at Vegas and the odds makers, the sports books, when it comes to these sort of predictions. Less so the talking heads on ESPN or NHL Network or anything like that, because Vegas usually always knows something that we don't. And so smashing the over on those bets, I feel like, is a pretty safe thing to do. But obviously, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if I'm right, wrong, if I'm missing any names or anything like that. And I will see you tomorrow for the next Utah Mammoth Daily update.